Comforts. This is our second time, so we appreciate you guys coming out, listening to us. Hopefully you enjoyed the show today. And we love the Dogs, man. And, respect the Hedges is here. And let's have a big victory tonight.
That's right. We're going up to Lexington to Dogs Chase the Cats today. Shorty Parker, how you feeling today, my guy?
Loving it. Happy to be here, man. I just got back from vacation, man, and what better place to be than Creature Comfort to get our first SEC victory.
That's right. Listen, man, we're here to talk Dogs and Cats. All right, let's get it started, man. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We got two former Dogs that's lining up for Kentucky today. That's Jamon Dumas-Johnson and Brock Vandegrift. Shorty, thoughts on the quarterback and the linebacker playing for the Big Blue Nation today?
I'm going to tell you what. Vandegrift, I love him. He's a former Dog. Unfortunately, I can't root for him. He's on the other side this time. I think he's going to have a tough time today with our front seven. Dumas-Johnson, one thing I will say about this right here, both of those guys was leaders on each side of the ball. Vandegrift on offense as a quarterback and Dumas-Johnson as a middle linebacker on the defense. So I think that's going to kind of help them in a sense with some familiarity with our own offense and defense. But ultimately, Coach, I just think we got too much for him.
I definitely agree, man. Brock Vandegrift was a highly touted 5-star coming out of high school. Just couldn't seem to get it shot here in Athens. But now, you know what I'm saying, he's there. He's a starting quarterback. I'm still not sold on him as a passer. You know what I'm saying? He's a very good athlete. But E-Rob, I just don't think they're going to have enough for us today.
So, like I said earlier, when we had our show earlier this week on Tuesday, I think the only thing that Dumas-Johnson and Vandegrift are going to do this week is give us internal motivation. Because I don't think that they're really, when we look at Kentucky, they don't really present a lot of problems for us. So you have that problem being complacent. So having those guys over there, having that relationship that they had previously here at the University of Georgia, having those guys over there, I think that will provide that internal motivation that we need to kind of get up for this week, knowing that we have the bye week next week and then the big game going into Alabama. So we need to play well. We need to do what we're supposed to do, do our job, and come out of this game hopefully healthy and hopefully with a very convincing victory over the Wildcats.
Right, we were expecting some bad weather in Kentucky, but I don't know if it's going to be that way, CA. So, my earlier prediction this week said it was going to be low scoring. Do you think that's going to be the case if we get good weather up there?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think Mike Bobo is going to do his best to make sure we get a comfortable lead early. We don't want to expose too much here as we look at, the games ahead, because in this matchup against Kentucky, we are the dominant opponent. We've got a much deeper team. We've got far more experience. They do have Dumas-Johnson and Brock on the opposite sides, and they should understand the temperature, but that'll also break a team early. Because if you see the break in those guys, if I'm a Kentucky player and I see one of those guys falter, then it's really going to be detrimental to the entire team. So it's key for Kentucky that those guys exhibit leadership for 4 quarters. I don't think it's going to matter because we're too deep, too strong. We're going to come in and try to limit what we show, but we got to be effective early. So I'm excited about the opportunity. It's a road game. It's in the SEC. It's our time to shine, and why not on this stage at 7 o'clock, 7:30?
That's right, man. I think we're in the catbird seat. Like you say, this is an SEC game. First SEC game in 2024. We need to come out here and have a good showing. Set the tone for the season, JB. You know what I'm saying? Go up into Lexington. I mean, we watched South Carolina go to Lexington last week and put it on them pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, I think the guys have already said it. We don't expect too much out of Kentucky for a lot of different reasons. When we step on the field each and every time, it don't really matter who we play against, man. We have a standard that we got to set against ourselves, and no matter who the opponent is, no matter who they're lacking, no matter what kind of injuries we got or that they have, we're going out there to set the tone, man. We're going to set the trend line for ourselves to be able to perform. I think that when Kirby has been coaching these last few weeks, and he's coaching against really our own expectation, he's telling these guys, hey, don't look too far in the future. We know we got big games coming, but each and every time we touch the field, we gotta perform. So I think that's what we're going to do today, man. We're going to go out there and perform. I don't think it's going to be anything kind of super spectacular, but I think it's just going to be, you're a businessman, put your hat on, lace your boots up, you know what I'm saying? Tuck your shirt in a little tight, get your tie on real tight, and go in there and handle that business. That's what we're trying to do. So there's a play to the standard game.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kirby has set the standard no matter who we play, Tennessee Tech, Kentucky, Clemson. We always seem to start out pretty good. You know what I'm saying, Cool Cal? How you think this start going to be if it is some weather up there?
Whether it is some weather or not, one of the biggest things that I'm looking at is for us to continue to strengthen that run game, get physical. I'm looking for us to maybe get 35, 40 carries tonight, get ETN continuously, get him going. But what I'm also looking at is who are going to be those second and third guys, because I feel like we got 5 running backs in the room that are competing for like 3 jobs. And I'm looking to see who's going to continue to stand out, who's going to be ETN's, who's going to spell him, give him some rest, who's going to be that third guy. So we got some capable guys, and I look at this game as a game for us to really, get physical. Let's not come out here and be cute and throw the ball around 50 times a game. Let's run the ball. Let's be physical. But one of the biggest keys to the game is also as well is we've got 2 guys from Kentucky that were former Dogs, right? So that's 2 guys that know what we like to do. But we've got 80 guys on our side that know what they like to do. So we've seen Vander Griffin practice for a long time. I think we know some of his tendencies, some of the things that he likes to do. And I think that's going to be a big key for our defense to get off today, get some sacks, get some turnovers, some interceptions today, and have a big game on defense as well.
I like all of that, what you just said, Cal. So for the Dogs, since we set our own standard, which player are you looking for on our offense to have a good game today?
Great question. It's a couple of guys that I'm looking at. Trevor Etienne, obviously, because he missed the first game of the season, I want to continue to establish him. We know he's our alpha dog in the backfield. I'd like to see how he does with 15, 18, maybe 20 carries this game. Because we know what we're doing in the past game. We got plenty of weapons out there. And I'm also looking as a group to see how nasty the offensive line is going to get. Are we going to be physical, open up holes for our backs to get to the second level and stop getting hit, maybe a yard or 2 after the line of scrimmage, and really letting them get out into some open space and continue to make plays and get some explosive plays in that running game. So as a group, like I said, the offensive line, but I also want to continue to establish ETN.
I think that's a good point. If we can establish dominance early, I think we can break Kentucky's will. Let's say what's up to some of the people online. We got Wallace on the building. What's going on, my guy?
Yo.
What's going on, Wallace? Stat guy in the building. Sorry y'all couldn't pull it out, stat guy. But y'all almost pulled it out. Right. Hey, Stat guy says the Kentucky offense is bad. Right.
Stat guy. Goodness gracious. Way to trick it down your leg.
Hey, shout out to all the Dog Nation watching, but not in the comments. So, JB, Lawson Lucky looks to be trying to move in on Oscar Delp. I mean, he's looking a little better this year than Oscar Delp at this point.
Well, I mean, he has a year. He's a year older in the program, in the playbook, in the weight room, on the training table. Competing against elite athletes day in and day out. Also, so if you ain't making a progression at this point, then it's almost time to move on. This is looking at where he's been sitting behind and seeing the best ever to do it, how he did it. So when you have all those things going for you, you should be ready to challenge the starter for a position, because this is what UGA is. We don't have guys who sit in places and can be complacent, because you got a guy who's coming up, he's training harder, he's working harder, and he's doing the things that he has to do to try to be the starter, right? I like what Lucky's doing, man. He looks good. He looked good coming out of high school, and that ain't gonna do to make us more efficient and dangerous, because when you got those 2 tight ends in the middle and you got the talent we got on the outside, what are you really going to do with the Dogs?
Hey, that's a good point. I mean, Lucky only adds to that challenge in the tight end room. So, CA, that blocking, I know it was Tennessee Tech, but the blocking on the outside wasn't to our standard. What you think going on in that wide receiver room?
Well, the standard is the standard, so those guys on the outside are going to have to pick it up regardless of who we play against. I'm looking forward to really the offensive line, though. I think being dominant in the trenches is something that we're going to focus on this week, because that's going to really be the strong point of what our season can be. I think we need to figure out what is the rotation on the offensive line side of the ball, and we also need to find out who on the defensive line is ready to make plays, especially the big plays in the backfield. So we've got an opponent that we're really favored against. We've got an opponent we can game plan against relatively easily when you look at what they offer as far as the depth on their roster, the players that they're going to try to highlight we're very familiar with on both sides. So this is a chance for us to try to not necessarily be basic, but we shouldn't have to be special to beat the hell out of Kentucky. That's my personal opinion. So I want to see how dominant we can be in the trenches. I'm looking forward to the offensive line showing me some cohesion, consistency. I want a lot of drives that consist of more than 8-9 plays. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Long drives on offense, quick turnaround on defense, turnovers, and plays in the backfield on defense. So I'm really looking at the trenches on both sides of the ball to see where we're going to end up as a team.
Listen, I'm in agreement. I don't think we should have to go deep into the playbook. Kentucky hasn't looked good. Now, Erod, they haven't looked good. Could they have been looking ahead to the Dogs while they was playing South Carolina last week?
Obviously, that's a possibility. I just don't think that they have the talent that it's going to take to beat the Dogs. You know, point blank, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I don't think that they have enough to beat us. So, with that being said, I feel like they're going to empty the tank. I feel like early in the game, they're going to try to take some shots. They're going to run some reverses, going to do some, whatever, go forward on fourth down in places where they probably shouldn't go for it. Because what do they have to lose at this point?
They have nothing to lose.
So I think that we just need to be ready for whatever it is early. And if we do that, if we take all that stuff off the table and then we just got to get into a football game, once we get to that point in the game, they can match up. We will pull away. And put it this way, I think we'll definitely cover easily in the second half.
Okay, surely. So, Erod talked earlier about us having a little bit more motivation or being able to use those former players as kind of motivation. You think that can happen on the other side? Brock and JDJ get their squads fired up because they playing the Dogs?
I don't necessarily know if it's going to get them fired up. I just think it'll let them know the intensity and how serious this game is because these guys had to go against those guys every day in practice. So he can kind of compare the way they prepare for a game and the way Georgia prepare for a game, which I'm sure is a big difference. So with that being said, I don't think it's going to be used as motivation at all, Coach. They motivated enough to play the #1 team in the nation. And if that don't motivate you, what else you need?
Right. I'm with you, though. I'm with you. I just don't think Kentucky should be able to line up, but I don't like games like this, to be honest with you, man, because I think we're trying to get out of there with no injuries. So it's going to be a lot more ball control. We got a bye next week. I think Kirby going to have them focused, but I think at this point, Kentucky, hey, it's either do or die for them, right? I mean, they lost to South Carolina. Who they played the first? Oh, they played somebody the first week. What? It was FCS opponent or whatever, but they already down in the SEC 0-1.
Well, I look at it real quick, man. I look at it a little bit differently. So we do have that bye coming up, right? And I think that Kirby's, we're not looking to come off the gas. I'm thinking that he's telling them, look, we have this bye week coming up. Step on the gas. We have big things coming down the road. Let's not ease into it. Beat these boys like they're supposed to be beat. Let's move on down the schedule and handle business like we handle business here at Georgia and play Georgia football. So I think this will be, like we talked about earlier, a standard game. I do believe that. It's going to be about the standard in the second half.
One thing I will say is this right here. Depending on the weather, this will be a game where you really get a chance to see the physicality of our offensive line because you may not see a lot of pinning and pulling because it's so wet. So this is going to be mano, and you finally get to prove that you are the best offensive line for the Jim Moore Award.
Second half.
Absolutely, brother. I literally was going to touch on that same thing, man. We shouldn't have to do anything tricky in this game. It should be straight ahead. We shouldn't be having to do anything. We shouldn't be having to do anything that allows you to be able to, get any types of reads on us. You should know that, listen, when we say we're going to run the ball, we're coming down here. When we come down here, that means straight ahead. We're going to open holes. We're going to hit you in the mouth. Now we want to find out what your game plan is because we know what ours is. That's what I'm feeling that we're going to do tonight.
I agree. And I think they're going to lay down. I think we're going to do that in the second half. That's why I think we're going to pull away. I think that they're going to just lay down and just kind of just give up and think about, what they're going to do later on that night in Lexington. That's my opinion.
And I agree with these guys. Now, do you think early on, Cal, there's any chance that Brock Vandegrift has some long runs? He is very athletic. We were susceptible to quarterback runs last year with a very bad Auburn team in this same situation.
Absolutely, we're definitely susceptible to, I think broken plays, but I think that it's actually more of a disadvantage for Brock because we've seen him for the last 3-4 years here in Athens. I think we know his tendencies. We know the types of throws that he likes to make. I think we know when he likes to run, when he gets out of the pocket, and the things that he likes to do. So I'm not as worried with him because I think we're going to have a good beat on him. I think one of the early things that we're going to have to worry about is obviously letting them build some confidence if they get some plays going, stick around in the game, get something lucky where some broken plays are made. So I think that the biggest thing, we got to come out, play disciplined football, make sure that, like E-Rob was saying earlier, we're just better than them. So we don't have to do a lot of special things to go out there besides be disciplined and play our game. And as long as we continue to go out there and play our game, it shouldn't be a big issue whether we have weather or not.
Hey, all good points, man. Hey, sorry about that, everybody out there in YouTube land.
And Florida's losing right now, 10-0. I didn't want to jump in. That just makes you feel good. So it was a bad ride in, but I'm happy to see Florida's losing. I feel better.
That's right. Florida is losing 10-0 to a backup quarterback nonetheless. Wallace gets in and says Kentucky was not looking ahead last week. They knew who was coming in there the next week, and then they just wet the bed. So, hey, good point, Wallace. Listen, I'm trying to help him out. You know what I'm saying? E-Rod, I'm trying to help him out.
Trying to help him out. We're going to let them help him out at all.
That's not why I'm here. They set up prime for a team like UGA. If you're struggling offensively, you don't want to play a Kirby-led team. So that's the one thing that I think Kentucky's going to have a problem with, is just trying to score points. They have to be able to score more points. If they can't do that, it's going to be a long day for the Cats.
Right, and that's a good point. I've always said these last 3 years, if you're going to beat Georgia, you got to score 30. And even on a bad day, I just don't see this Kentucky team scoring 30.
See them scoring 30 on air.
I don't see them going 13. I mean, let's be clear. Let's go ahead and call it what it is, man. We the dogs. We walking into Lexington, and we finna dog stomp all over that stadium. We ain't playing no games now. We can play coy and be nice about the whole thing, but we really don't want them to score a point because our defense has been holding the teams that we've been playing to, under 6 points.
Yeah, we're giving up a touchdown.
3 points has been the most scored in a game, period. So we want to keep that trend going, man. We don't care who it is. Line up the domino. We're dealing with the next one.
CA, I want to get in on Arian Smith. Last year, Arian had some drops, lost a little confidence, you know what I'm saying? And he wasn't blocking good. He just didn't have a UGA-type season last year. But this year, he's come out. He's our leading receiver. He's got 2 big, long plays, 50 yards, I think, last week for a touchdown. What do you think attributed to his, confidence boost coming into the season?
The shit to get out the pot, Coach. Arian Smith been here 5 years. It feels like to me. I don't know how long to be exact, but it's time. It's been time. It's past time. He's been in this program long enough. He knows the offense. He understands the quarterback that's under center is a Heisman candidate. Why not come out hot? Do your job. That's what you're here for. That's why you are on scholarship. We didn't give you a scholarship to hold the spot. Kirby gives out a scholarship to make plays. So Arian Smith is no different than any other position. And to be honest, I don't know if this is going to be the weekend where he gets a chance to really show that. This ain't going to be I don't feel like Carson should have to throw for 300 yards for Georgia to beat Kentucky in a comfortable fashion. I expect to see a lot of the backup quarterback get in and have an opportunity. I expect to see a lot of my running backs have opportunities to get carries. I'm not looking to show a whole lot of nothing, especially in the passing game. So Arian Smith, a great player, a guy that's going to have a lot of opportunity. This might not be the weekend. We may do a little play action pass early to try to get that score to a point where we're comfortable. But I don't see this being an opportunity for Carson Beck to show too much. So I don't really want that. I don't want us to be forced to do that. I'm looking for the running game to step up. I want to bruise Kentucky. I want to take their will. I want to embarrass them early. I want to play a lot of players. I want my freshmen to get on the field. And I want every other team in the SEC to not be able to pull a lot of film from this game.
So that's my focus.
I'm definitely with that. It'd be nice to see some old school UGA have 2 running backs go over 100 yards.
I'll take that, coach.
Absolutely.
I'm here for that, coach.
Coach, let me just say something real quick about that whole Arian Smith comment. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back, man, because I think I called out Arian Smith as being one of the players to watch going into the season. I think that was a guy who we needed to see more out of because he's such a threat. And what I will also say is, knowing Bobo, we're going to throw some screens. And depending on who's going to catch that screen, I mean, that's what we do. We throw screens. So putting Arian Smith on the edge, letting him do his thing, putting some of these receivers like number 6 on the edge, let them do their thing is what we do in the regular season against anybody. I think we'll do some of that against Kentucky. And I feel like I just like to showcase the speed. I just like everybody to see what the speed look like, because then you got to coach to it. They know what he got, but I want you to coach to it. Even if we running downhill, punishing you, making you feel inadequate as a man, that's cool with me. But I want you to understand what that speed feel like on the outside also. Give me the stick. I want it to blaze down the field. So, I love what you're saying. CA, I'm with you too. But I want them to show off that speed 1 or 2 times just so everybody know, like, no, we ain't lumbering out here. We just giving you what we got when we want you to get it.
God damn, that was so good. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sold on that. Speed. I'm with you on that. But I had a question for you guys. Who do you guys, obviously we know ETN is our number 1 back. Who's our next best back? Who is the guy that you guys feel like we can depend on second, third in that rotation?
If you're just talking about going out proven ability, you have the Robinson, number 22 Robinson. But honestly, I think Frazier may have taken that spot because he's the more explosive player. So I don't think we have any problem with, finding out who's that number 2 or 3 guy. We got a guy coming back with experience, and we got a true freshman who was explosive.
I agree. I think Nate has shown that he's got that explosiveness that Shawty talk about, that suddenness, that home run ability. Now, I will say it was Tennessee Tech, but Branson looks like he's gaining confidence in that leg. It's going to take a minute. But, I mean, it's a long season, fellas. I mean, if we go where we want to go, we're going to have, 15, 16 more games, dog. So we're going to need all those running backs, and not to mention Rod Robinson when he come back from the turf toe. So, E-Rob, what you thinking about that running back room?
I mean, I don't even know why y'all playing around. Cash is our guy.
I'm a Cash fan.
I love Cash Money, baby. That's my guy. No, seriously, Cash, he provides a lot of experience in that room. He's one of those guys that you can count on. So I was joking a little bit, but I'm kind of not joking. So he's somebody that you can depend on. So we got some big games coming up here in October. And you're going to need the guys that you can really trust. So Cash is one of those guys, and I think he's more athletic than people give him credit. So I feel like
Cash got some speed now.
that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people might discount that for, whatever reason.
Right.
But he is somebody that has supreme athletic ability, and he's shown that against supreme athletes year after year.
Right. And then with Kirby's track record with walk-ons, I mean, come on, Stetson Bennett, you know what I'm saying? You got Cash, and then JB on that defensive side, CA on that defensive side, we got our guy, Dan Jackson, man. Dan Jackson out there starting at safety.
That's my guy.
Listen, I'm just saying, Dan Jackson in the run game, and I think he's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan had 10 tackles in the first half.
Hey, see, I know you're going to say something, but to your point, Coach, Ellis Robinson starting to steal some of them snaps from him.
From Dan Jackson?
I mean, KJ Bolden. He's starting to take some of those snaps.
That's true. Well, KJ's far more talented than Dan Jackson. Dan Jackson is a guy that's been in our system, knows where to be. Dan Jackson is 2024 Kirby Smart. And Kirby like that. Something like that on the field. That's a guy that knows where to be, won't allow you to get beat deep, keep us in the right play. So I'm a big fan of what a guy like Dan brings to the field, because that continuity, that consistency is what we need. We got explosive players to burn. KJ will eventually get that spot. But if it's not time, it's not time. I'm going to rely on guys like Muschamp, Kirby, all these guys we know that have played the position. I'm going to rely on their assessment to see who needs to be on the field first. But going back to Cash Money, I got to give a shout out to my brother Stephen Allen. He's been telling me about Cash Jones for the last 2-3 years. And he knew Cash was going to be important for us. in that running back room right now, when you look at Cash, when you look at Branson, when you look at ETN, and you look at Frazier, that's a four-piece I'm not afraid of. That'll carry us a long way. So on both sides of the ball, we got an opportunity to be successful because of the veteran leadership and experience, and you mix in young talent like Frazier and KJ Bolden. That's how you build a team. That's what Kirby does. He takes tools and pieces, puts them together, and now we got a #1 ranked team looking to shine tonight.
Say it with your chest, CA.
Absolutely, man. Can we get an amen in the church today, man?
CA, let's go.
Hey, listen, Cash got touchdowns on touchdowns, baby. You know what I'm saying? He trucking people in the open field and everything.
So, real quick, Coach, let me jump back to Jan Jackson real quick, man. Come on, pay that man a little homage. Nothing realistically is better for your young guys who got all this talent coming in to a program that preaches and teaches perfection more than a guy like Dan Jackson who knows how to he knows how to put every peg in every hole. So when they see this guy out there playing and they're saying, well, why am I not playing all the snaps and getting all the snaps? And Dan Jackson is in the room actually talking or being in the right place, even if he's not a verbal guy, in front of the guys who are five-star guys coming in fresh out of Beaufort, Georgia, with all the talent in the world. That speaks to them and allows them to be able to pattern themselves and gives them a best practice to be able to work to and you know, saying stretch for. So him and Chambliss, like we talk about Chambliss a lot, man, but literally that guy's hard-nosed. He plays hard as he can with a lot less talent than some guys we have on that line and they are coming in and they have come in and he goes out there and gives it to them. And so I appreciate those.
He's underrated.
No, I ain't say that. I'm saying no, he's underrated. I think he's rated just fine. But what I'm saying is, you know, I respect what they're doing because that mental part of the game is important, and that locks guys in who just want a ball. Guys who just want a ball rely on athletic talent. Great ones rely on both.
Hey, that's well said, JB, and I think Kirby has done a good job of putting our seniors in good and upperclassmen in good position. And I think give credit to Shawty, man. When we go on a lot of shows, man, these teams be ready for the freshmen to come in, ready for the freshmen to take a helm. Everybody ain't KJ Bolden. Everybody ain't Nate Frazier. Sometimes you got to give way to that talent and let the experience get out there and show them how to do it because they've been in the SEC play, Cal. Like a Dan Jackson. Dan Jackson, what, he fifth year senior? You know, he's played a lot of ball, man. I mean, he's the guy that got blew up on the Ringo pick six, but he was out there doing his job, right, Cal?
That's 2021.
Absolutely. All fair points. But obviously, as we know, the one thing is with talent, as long as one thing that we do know is that the talent that come in is getting coached. So it's just a matter of how quickly these guys are coming to speed. For some freshmen, it could be before the season starts. For some freshmen, it may be game 6. Like a few years ago, like we saw with Brock Bowers, game 1, he came out against Clemson. That's a guy. A few years ago, Malachi Starks, game 1 against Oregon.
That's a guy. That's
a guy. So we can see it early, and we've got guys in that same mode, but we also got guys that have been in the program, like we said, for 4 or 5 years. They've got the experience. They know exactly where to go. So like CA was saying earlier, I think it's just a matter of time before we see Bolden take over that spot because he just flashes. He just has something that's special about his game that some of the other guys that don't have. And I think, you know, before long, maybe it's this game, maybe it's game 5, 6, 7. I think he's going to take over. But you know what we still have? We still have Dan Jackson. We still got that guy that's providing that veteran leadership that'll be able to continuously get us over the hump.
He helps those young guys with that learning curve, that transition from high school to college. So having guys like Chambliss and Dan Jackson, I mean, that's invaluable. When you talk about development of players, when you got guys with this kind of talent, and knowing what to do and having something to emulate, you can't put a price on it.
And speaking to you guys on point, Carson Beck is another guy who sat here in the program and waited his turn, right? And when you're talking about developing players and getting better, just think about the opposite side. Vandergrift leagues early. The film that he's put out so far right now, do you think his stock has gone up or went down? He would have came out better staying here. So sometimes these guys are true testaments that you need to stay somewhere, get developed, and become a player as opposed to bouncing around from program to program.
Great points, great points. And I also wanted to just hit on real quick and say the one thing that gives the young guys a great opportunity as well is that they're able to come in early. They come in now, sometimes before the bowl games, before the playoff games, so you're able to get that valuable experience throughout the offseason and already have an offseason before you hit your freshman year. And if you're that talented of a guy, you can really make an impact in your first year.
They playing my theme music back there. I don't know if y'all.
I hear it. I don't know if the YouTube crowd can hear it, but we are in front of a Latin Heritage Festival that is jamming to our backs. So, okay. Yeah. Well, you know, Sharon said I was yelling. Right. So, E-Rob, I wanted to give a shout out to your guy. I think he's going to get some snaps today, Ellis Robinson. With the unfortunate incidents of Daniel Harris, I don't expect to see him today. So that means that Ellis Robinson is next up in my eyes. What you think?
So, quick update. So, on my way into Athens, I did see that he did make the trip. So, he did make the trip. I don't know if he's going to play Mr. Harris. I got to be emergency, break it for emergency. But Ellis Robinson, these reps will be invaluable for him because he's my guy. I really feel like he's one of these guys that is uber talented. You know, he's not the biggest guy right now, but in terms of being able to body control, being able to run, being able to understand football. So he's a guy that's really smart. I look forward to him getting a chance to play against this team that's kind of not on our level. And then as we go into that bye week, I don't know. Just look for him against Alabama to maybe make a name for himself. I'm just saying. I'm not looking past Kentucky, but I'm just saying that development and just step by step.
It's a value.
And Coach, to your point, at the cornerback position, we have all three true freshmen. Other than the first two starters, 3, 4, and 5 are all true freshmen. Right. We're having that guy out. So it'll be tough. It could be tough, you know, on some true freshmen coming to a big game like this, you know. So hopefully the weather can play a factor where we don't have to play a lot of those guys and keep Kentucky and more.
I want him to play, man. I want to play against
These
this
are
team.
valuable snaps for these guys.
I want to play against these guys because we got big games coming up. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm looking at it.
Now, we always talk about how you don't want to take yourself off the field. And, you know, 7 just took yourself off the field possibly. You know what I'm saying?
Do that at Georgia. Have a job when you come back.
I'm just saying, you know, the last time we saw something like this, it was an injury related, but end of the game, C.J. Allen, now JDJ playing for another team. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Harris, but he did flirt with the portal last year. We had to talk him out of it. Now, if he doesn't get to play in Lexington, CA, Ellis gets in there,
Make some plays.
sticking his nose in there.
Had some Paul too in the running back room, CA. I don't know if y'all remember that. Paul had to transfer due to injury because he was looking good. He was player we saw that last spring.
Right, Andrew Pauls, another one.
Hey, look, it's only one ball on the field, baby. We only got 11 slots on both sides. So you're either going to have to humble yourself or continue to compete every week. Some of these circumstances you won't be able to anticipate. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't really care. You know, that's going to be on him. Because what Georgia's going to do is recruit that position, fill that spot, make it competitive, and try to win a title behind it. So it's not about the name on the back. It's about the hat you wearing and who you represent and where you want to go. Yeah. You know, all these guys have aspirations, and the best way to get where you want to go is to play between the hedges and wear red and black. So you can try to have this conversation with another team, but I think you get the best tutelage, you get the best competition, you have opportunities that you have to take advantage of when you're here. If you don't, like Carson Beck had to deal with, you got to sit back, learn from it, and make sure you take advantage of it that very next time if you get it. So it's not promised. We're not giving you anything. You almost said it. We're not giving you anything. You got to earn it. So that's the exciting part about competing on this level, knowing these circumstances. Yeah, you friends with everybody on the team, but we all want to be on the field. So, you know, how you get there is on you. Competition is going to be the best thing for me to bring that out of these guys. And I don't think that's going to change regardless of who it is. So whether you're Ellis Robinson or whoever, if you get off the field, the next man is up. Right. And it's his time to shine. And not only is the next man who's in line able to step up, but, man, I think guys from programs like Georgia, Alabama, you know, some of these programs that actually have a heritage of developing players, squeezing every bit of and every amount of juice out of a guy that he can give you, they get the benefit of the doubt also from the guys who are at the next level. Because they know when they get a guy, even if he's not the number one guy, that this gentleman is going to come in, he's going to be trained right. He's going to know assignments. He's going to learn responsible and assignment football. They know they don't have to teach a guy how to walk. A guy can walk into the building who's running, and they just got to teach him the scheme. And if he can actually fill a spot and be in a spot that allows him to athletically compete, then they got a player. That's why you see so many guys still who are undrafted free agents landing on squads and not being cut, because one thing we do is develop. And that ain't just the guy who's at the top, but we're talking about guys all the way down to the walk-on like Cash, who, if I'm not mistaken, might have earned the scholarship already. These guys go out there, if they play on Saturdays with the Dogs, baby, they ready to rock and roll for prime time no matter what the level is. So that's what we know is a confidence level that we get the benefit of the doubt from the next level too.
I think that's all. Hey, I'm in agreement with all that, man. Listen, we're going to start taking some score predictions. We got our first score prediction guy right here. Hold on. All right, Right. We're going to mingle after it's over, and we're going to let you. Listen, we got our first score prediction of the day. We need your name, where you're from, and what the Dogs going to do to the Cats today.
All right, got Jason Miller from Athens, Georgia, and it's going to be about 48-13. I'll give him 13. 48-13.
48-13.
Give us a face, dog. Face shot at least.
Give us a face time.
There we go.
Go down. Our next score prediction. Here we come. All right, we need your name, where you're from, and what the Dogs gonna do to the Cats. You gotta bend down a little bit.
My name's Dixon. I'm from New Orleans. The Dogs are winning 38-3. No touchdowns today.
Hey, score prediction. We got the crowd giving out those score predictions.
Hey, we have
Give us a score prediction also.
Where you from, and what the Dogs gonna do. Your name, where you from, and what the Dogs gonna do to the Cats.
All right, Rob Leach from Albany, Georgia, and we're gonna beat their ass. Let me tell you.
Come on.
There we go.
All right, we got one of the nice young ladies from the crowd. She's gonna give us her name, where she's from, and what the score is gonna be.
My name's Clara, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I think the score is going to be maybe 0-30.
Georgia's gonna win 30. Dog head right there.
I like her score. I mean, we cover.
Yeah.
Be shy.
Come on up.
This is for the Dogs.
This for the Dogs. Don't be shy.
I like that polo, by the way. All right, we're gonna appreciate it. Hey, we're gonna get his name, we're gonna get where he's from, and what the score is gonna be. Georgia over Kentucky, of course.
I'm Wade from Columbus, Georgia. Dogs 38-10.
Let's go with the Dogs.
I like that score too. That means we cover.
Do we have anybody else who wants to give a score prediction today?
We got my man with the beer right here in the green shirt. Get his attention. He's drinking. We want a score prediction from him.
He looks very knowledgeable.
While we have our next person coming up, we want to again thank Creature Comforts for being able to
Where you from and what the Dog's gonna do to the Cats.
We got Jordan McDonald and Wells McDonald in Georgia.
Go Dogs.
And the Dogs about to go 45-7.
Right. All right, another one. We got another one.
Here we go.
Where you from and what the Dog's gonna do today score-wise.
All right, my name's Rob from Atlanta, and I think it's going to be 42-6.
Go Dogs, baby. All right, we're gonna get you. and what the Dogs are going to do score-wise.
My name is Mike Cope. I'm from Statham, Georgia, and Dogs by 50.
Your turn. Your turn. Black Market. Come on. Come on up there. Come on up here. Don't be scared to tell them how we're going to beat the Cats today. That's right. Dogs by 50. I like it. Oh, we got a special treat for y'all today. We got an Ohio State fan in the building. Hell no. What do you think the score is going to be?
Chase, Dogs 56-3.
What did you say? Come on, ladies on the back table back there. We need one or two. Come on. Go. Put your shirt before you leave. Before you leave.
Check the Hedges.
Come on. Come on. All right, tell us your name, where you're from, and what the score is going to be.
Angie, and I'm from Covington, Georgia.
Here we go.
Angie.
I live here in Athens, and I think the score is going to be 37-6.
I like it.
It's real solid, Miss Angie. What about?
We call it, Anthony.
Hey, we got anybody else want to come and give a score prediction? All right, give us your name, where you're from, and what the score is going to be.
My name's McNeil. I'm from Athens, Georgia, and I think the score is going to be 42-0.
Come on. That means we're going to bring young Coach I up on the bill. Tell me your name, where you're from, and what the score is going to be today.
All right, don't mess it up.
There. I'm from South Carolina, and the score is going to be 40-0.
We appreciate all y'all participation. We appreciate y'all.
What I love about it, Coach, everybody had us covering. I love it.
For the fans out there, you know how they all had us covering today. So
Coach,
we got some guys getting in online.
Coach, I gotta say this real quick. None of y'all have faith in Brock Van de Grip.
I got an answer for you. Hell no. That's why he's not here in Athens no more.
All right, shout out to the stat guy. Stat guy says 41-3 Dogs. Wallace Smith says 48-10 Dogs. Daryl Davidson, appreciate you getting in. He said we wilding up here. Hey, listen, we having fun at Creature Comfort Taproom, the official tap room of the UGA Bulldogs, man, out here, 271 West Hancock Avenue in Athens, Georgia. After the show, stay for the watch party, one of the best watch parties around, man. So, hey, we're going to go around the SEC a little bit, talk about what we saw today. E-Rock, 13-0, Florida is losing to a backup quarterback.
You know, like I'm feeling all warm and fuzzy on my insides right now. I'm feeling really good about myself. But listen, so on my way in, like I said, it was a terrible ride in. Like I said, rain, sleet, bears and stuff, chasing me. Anyway, the one good thing about my ride in was I was listening to that South Carolina LSU game. That might have been the craziest game of the year. That might be the craziest game I've seen, or I didn't see it, I heard in the last 2 years. I mean, there were touchdowns, there was touchdowns being taken away, there was penalties, there was people getting kicked out of the game, there was people getting hurt. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, so it was crazy, and then I just couldn't believe how South Carolina just gave that game away. Like, this is one of those games that Beamer has to win. All the enthusiasm, you got a top 14, I think they were number 14 in the country. You have them down 17, and you give it up. So I just, I feel bad for them a little, I guess. Not really. But, that's the game you got to win.
Right. Sean, he's got a point. We watching this Texas A&M Florida game. Florida's down 0 to a backup quarterback in Texas A&M. And South Carolina, I think you and I talked about it before the show. If they don't lose Sellers, do they win that game?
I think they do, Coach, and I think they win it easy. I really do. I think with the starting quarterback, Sellers going out, I really think that hampered the play calling, and I really think it limited what South Carolina could do offensively, and that's what led to them coming back because they were not able to sustain drives.
What's up with Robbie Ashford? He's like 28 years old. Why can't he do it?
He's not a quarterback.
He's an athlete. That's all. He's an athlete.
So, yeah, but just to your point, you know, I don't really feel sorry for South Carolina. Only thing I hate was that LSU didn't cover.
Right. I'm with you on that. Cal, me and Shaw were talking too. We thought Brian Kelly was a better coach. What's going on with Brian Kelly? He's got more talent in Louisiana than he could ever dream of back in South Bend, but he did better in South Bend.
Well, it looked kind of fugazi, didn't it, in Notre Dame? You know, because when you're Notre Dame, for one, you're not playing in the conference. You know, so you're going around and you're kind of playing, you know, your North Carolinas, Virginia Techs, you know, you're getting good wins. And I think that I do still think he's a good coach. I don't think he's an elite coach. And I think that that's what's being exposed at LSU.
He's just not the right fit for LSU.
The right fit for LSU? Well, what is the right fit for LSU? Because LSU doesn't keep coaches for a long time in general when we really think back on it. Most of the coaches that have come in and won, they've kind of been a flash in the pan, been in and out kind of quickly. So I don't really know what is an LSU coach. Was it Les Miles?
I think you have to get, if I was someone like at LSU, I would try to get someone off the Kirby tree, somebody off maybe like a Saban tree type of thing. You have to have a very tough mind, Southern type of coach. You can't have a coach like Brian Kelly. He's a great coach. He's just not a fit for the culture in the LSU.
Okay. And you know, I just think that this was an opportunity for him to obviously be at an elite program. You always kind of barked about you didn't quite have enough at Notre Dame when it came time to playing the big boys. Now you are a big boy. You got to go out there and get it done. And he's just not getting it done. And I think one of the biggest issues that LSU has is he hasn't found a way to fix that defense. The defense still gives up big plays. And like we said, if Sellers didn't go out today, they probably would have gave up 50 today. True. So until that gets fixed, you're going to have issues in the SEC because you still got to be able to play some defense.
They're not disciplined either.
Why can't they fix the defense though? Like
so much talent so fast though. How is it? How LSU had good corners if nothing else. Last year the defense was atrocious.
On all levels.
And now it still don't look that good, JB.
Well, I'm going to attribute that some to coaching because they're getting some players. They're not, they're not absent of athletes. And there's a couple of positions and a couple of places on a football team, man, that makes a world of difference. We're talking about quarterback. A great quarterback can turn a team around in a heartbeat, but a great coach can turn a program around or sink a program. And what we're seeing realistically is, I feel, a guy who's an adequate coach, but not a great coach that has some outstanding talent. But if you tend to believe in the fact that attitude and effort reflects leadership, then I have to look at the coach. I got to look at the coaching.
He's being exposed.
I can't even do that.
He's being exposed.
And it seems like a lot of that go down. CA, we watching one on right now down in Gainesville. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Florida got athletes. Now. They got a quarterback in DJ Lagway that came in last week after Graham Mertz got hurt, showed some potential, but then they came back out today and started Graham Mertz. I mean, what the head man, do he even want to stay in Gainesville?
The truth of the matter, coach, is there's more programs with great athletes than there are with great coaches. And that's what hurts the most. You might do a hell of a job recruiting and trying to find the guy to lead the program, but the hit or miss ratio is way down. Not a lot of good guys to lead programs, not a lot of great coaching going on. It's a lot more name recognition, flash in the pan. It's about who's hot versus longevity. It's hard to find. We got lucky. I mean, let's be real. We found the guy we were looking for.
We almost lost him to South Carolina.
He was going somewhere else.
Right.
He's going to South Carolina? He was going somewhere else. But we swooped in and brought him home. So we could have easily missed. And a miss is hard to define as well. Is 8 wins a miss? It depends on who you are.
Right.
It always brings up all the time. You know, each program is different. Each program has different aspirations. Everybody's reality is different. But it's so much easier to miss on a coach than it is to hit. That's a hard line to cross. Again, the University of Georgia got lucky. We had homegrown. We went in that direction. Brian Kelly just doesn't seem to be the answer right now because he's not familiar with the culture. He's not identifying with his players, and they're extremely talented. And the result, you know, the proof's in the pudding. It is what it is. They're supposed to be a top 10 program right now.
We throw this out here for you real quick, Coach. During the who was the second best coach to Phil Jackson in the NBA?
I guess you're saying you don't
He was
remember
the first best coach first. Who was the second best coach to Phil Jackson? And we don't even count him. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys who get discounted when you have a great coach in his era. So you had Saban. Saban started the meal with Kirby, and Kirby still was taking the L's from Saban. But now it's a consensus that Kirby is the best thing smoking out on the landscape. And you're going to have to scour the annals to be able to find somebody who's going to be second best to this guy, because everybody don't do the things that these guys do, right? They can't capture a young guy, especially in the day of NIL. They can't capture a guy and make him want to come to a program that's not going to pay you $4 million. As a freshman,
Be developed. Like that's the main reason to be developed, not to get dollars right now. You're gonna be all right, but your main reason for coming to Georgia is to be developed. Kirby has changed the culture, changed the conversation to these young men coming in. It ain't about right now. It's about you get developed and you'll get that bag 3 years from now.
We're going to kick ass all the way up to 3 years. To that, now, CA said something about, and I've always said this, every program got different levels, right? But are some of these fan bases and administration putting their program against what Kirby's doing at Georgia unfairly?
Absolutely. Unfairly. Hey, that's the standard. We talked about the standard. That's the standard. Kirby's the standard. So if you're not trying to aspire to be that, then what you doing?
And that's what I was just saying about LSU and fitting the culture. Now, y'all talking about they need to get the defense fixed, right? Could you imagine LSU going out and hiring Glenn Schumann, our defensive coordinator? He's hot right now.
I don't want to hear that.
Don't give him no suggestions right now, Sean.
Right. It ain't no secret. It ain't no secret trusting now. That's who Florida might go out there.
That's a great point, but let's not give out the formula.
Oregon tapped into some of that too, Sean. But go ahead, Cal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think obviously, like y'all just beating it on the head, like with Saban, with Kirby. I even go to like the NFL, Belichick, just to give an example. Like we was kind of saying with Phil Jackson and NBA, when you're a truly great coach, look at the other schools around and see how many times they're turning over coaches.
Absolutely.
And if they're continuously turning over coaches because they know they don't have the right guy to beat you. And that's what we have right now. We've got the best guy in college football right now in Kirby Smart. And I think that everybody else is just trying to play catch up. I think we've got Texas, Oklahoma that are coming to the conference that have really strengthened us. I think that they have really good coaches that'll be able to compete. But I think day in and day out for most of the coaches in the SEC, unless you're at a Vanderbilt, unless you're out even say a Kentucky, you have great expectation, and the expectation is to win. The expectation in Florida is to still win. I mean, they've won national championships. They're just not a.
They're 19 and them right now.
It's been a long time, I know. But their expectation as a fan base is to still win, just like our expectation is to win. And it always has been. And now we're just actually putting the proof where our mouth was. We always been winning like this. Exactly. And now we are winning. And I think that's the expectation across the whole SEC. And that's why we got 6 out of the top 7 teams in the whole country in one conference.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. The SEC is doing it. You mentioned Texas and Oklahoma coming in. You got Sarkisian at Texas. He seems to have found his way after last year. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like basketball. You just need to see the ball go through the net. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Sark done seen the ball go through the net now. The jury's still out on Brent Venables. We'll see what they do. They're playing Tulane right now. I think they're up if the game ain't over already, but they got a big test coming up with Tennessee next week. And Tennessee does seem like they found they got. Maybe not against Georgia, but other guys, Hypo seems to do what he does outside of playing against Kirby.
Yeah, if I could pronounce the quarterback's last name, I would, but he's been productive, to say the least. I think Tennessee is formidable, especially when you don't wear red and black. So, that's going to be a situation for Oklahoma to really identify themselves in the conference, find out where they stand.
Right.
Is it real? Right. Are they going to be able to be competitive? And I'm going to ask you a quick question, Coach. Is that a home or a road game?
That's a road game for Tennessee. It's in Norman, Oklahoma, and they don't lose many.
You don't get a better opportunity than that. Bring in a blue bread. When you look at Tennessee, I'm not going to discount the historic that they, value they bring to the table.
That's Hypo used to play quarterback there.
So, exactly. There are a lot of scenarios that are going to play into how this matchup plays out. That's an Oklahoma conversation. What they do will be whatever they do. I can only worry about what's on my schedule. I won't even look around the league, to be honest with you. I know the
main thing.
It is what it is. Right now, Kentucky in the way, and I can't get off that, Coach. So you can try to distract me all you want. The mouthpiece in the head, helmet strap, baby.
Right. Hey, I'm with that too. But speaking of Kentucky, is Mark Stoops tired of being in Lexington? Because that's how his team seems to be playing right now, JV. It don't seem like listen, your players take on your personality. They didn't have much fight last week. It didn't look like they were doing much of anything against the FCS team. The first week, they were just kind of going through the motions, and that's not like a Mark Stoops coach team.
I'm going to say it one more time, man. Attitude reflect leadership. And you got a guy who message might be getting stale, might have gotten stale, because you got to win. You got to prove to people that what you're talking about is relevant and it's what they need to be listening to for it to stay on the precipice and on the forefront of their minds, man. You got these young kids. That come in and they want to be led to the promised land, right? Every single kid that's being recruited is being told that they can win a championship at Kentucky. Right? And year in and year out, what you see is that you're nowhere close to winning a championship at Kentucky. So at some point, my man CA said it best, you gotta sort of get off the pot. And so when it's time to get off the pot, these kids have gotten off the pot well before you do. Put it like that.
Hey, I'm with it. And I think, listen, at Kentucky, you got to be looking at that as a player. Like, we coming in every year, even on our best year, we can't beat Georgia. We can't beat Bama. We can't really compete with them.
You're not really competing.
This year and then worse year.
And then think about this. Just from a psyche standpoint, the man flirted going to another team before the season started, right?
They was heavy padding. They was more than flirting. They was damn near naked.
So imagine now how your message as a head coach goes across to your team.
As a player, you come back in, I'm like, hey, man, I'm here to get some money, so I'm going to play hard. But, hey, don't get it twisted. One wrong comment, I'm in the portal.
Doing the same thing you do, Coach.
Right. Same thing you doing, Coach. Right. You're not committed.
I mean, he just got left hung out to dry. He was with his old girlfriend a long time. They had a good relationship. It was smooth. It was good. It was relaxing.
Got to get in the street.
But then he found that young thing. He found that young hot thing out there.
Yeah, he did.
He said, you know what? Let me get that a shot. She said maybe, and that maybe turned into no. So you got to go back to your old girl, and it's kind of like, I was tired of that. I had, like you said, I had already stepped out a little bit, and I think that he saw his opportunity because when we talk about, there's huge jobs out there. Texas A&M is a huge job. They got all the resources in the world, and I do think that was a big letdown for him. And I think, but this gives him an opportunity today. I will say that. He has an opportunity today. He's playing against the number one team. If I could finish my point.
Cut him off, man. If he about to say something crazy, cut him off.
Great opportunity. Opportunity sits right here before us. We got a lot of opportunity. But his result gonna be as empty as he's
They all getting the same. Hey, they all getting the same piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
What's the excuse?
He left. He left over the summer. Then, like, he got jilted by the new chick. She sent him back. That's the problem at Kentucky. I mean, that's going to be a culture. What happens when they're like, man, whatever, dude. You halfway out the door.
We've been in the same or a similar seat, not as bad as Kentucky is, but we've been in a seat where we're saying, what's the excuse of why we're not competing for national championships before? We know that it's a small margin, right? Right. We know, we all respect Coach Rick, man. Shout out to Coach Rick, you know, awesome man. And we know this man put us and took us to another level, but we wanted to win championships here in Athens, Georgia. We wanted to be in the conversation year in and year out, and we weren't satisfied until we got there. Some fan bases, realistically, they haven't experienced that secondary experience of winning, and they can't expect championships right now. But what they can say is, why aren't we beating all the teams that we're supposed to? That's going to be the gun he's going to be held to, the expectations he's going to be held to right now. And again, you're going to keep on asking that question, why aren't we? And if you're not, it's time to move on.
And then my point be, Coach, I'm sorry to cut you out. And my point be, I don't want to keep going in these circles, but once you fire a guy like Stoops, you're not hiring the next guy. You're going to pay the next guy to come win more games than he did. And you're going to probably pay him more money.
You're right. They just in my estimation, Kentucky's just not in a good situation. They love basketball more than they love football. It's always going to be like that. And it's not like the state of Kentucky producing a lot of athletes. You got to lock down your own area before you branch out and go try to battle the Georgians, battle the Auburns, battle the Alabamas, battle all these guys, man. You got to lock down your own state, and even when you do, who you getting from Kentucky? Right. I mean, who you getting from Kentucky? I just think it's one of them. Some jobs, it's just one of them jobs. I wouldn't even, right. It's the ceiling is so high. Now, but to Shawty's point, Boston College out here giving Mizzou a run for their money. They ain't got no talent in their state. So, putting pressure. Hey,
Don't they have a new coach also? Don't they have a new coach up in BC?
Coach, right? They got a first.
That's my point. You always got to get the right guy.
I mean, the season ain't done. They had the wrong guy for a long time, right? The last coach was at BC for a long time, and they knew what their ceiling was. They didn't kick him out after 4 years because he might have won 6 or 7 games. He sat in that spot for 2 years.
Quick question. How many coaches in America got the right guy? Like, we having this right guy wrong.
There's a lot of teams out there got the right guy. It's just everybody can't win a national championship.
Who's got the right guy? I'm asking you now.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Tarkees in that text. Everybody in the top 15, that's a top 15, 20 program has the right guy.
I think the guy majority is the right guy. Let me ask you this. Sean, let me ask you this. Does Notre Dame have the right guy?
No, I don't think so.
And I hate to say that. Me and Coach do a lot of shows. I said that a long time ago.
Right, and I think Shawty got a point.
I said that when they hired him.
Having the right guy for what you trying to accomplish is different than having a championship coach. You see what I'm saying? So like at Kentucky, the right guy is going to come in and win 8 games, 2 or 3 years in a row, but then he can win 9 games, 10 games, maybe even 11.
Is that Mark Stoops?
I don't think it is. I think
he only got 2 10-win seasons.
Right, he got 2 10-win seasons, and I feel like that's a mutual it's time to go situation. I think Kentucky tired of him, and I think he tired of Kentucky. He like, I'm out here coaching these X's and O's right off the notebook, and y'all still can't win. What else am I supposed to do?
I want to hear about this Notre Dame thing, though. Have they ever won more?
10 games.
Hold on now, man.
They kind of like
twice in a row.
They kind of like NC State. NC State has only had 2 10-win seasons all time. So the right guy coming in for them is a 9-win coach.
I'm just saying Stoops the right guy.
Right guy for definition of the right guy depends on the program, right? If you at Georgia, the right guy win championships. When you at NC State, the right guy go to bowl games and compete for ACC championships. Right. Good point. Now, in Kentucky, what should be the standard? I don't know. Right. Kentucky ain't won no SEC championship, had they?
Are we counting Bal Bryant year back in 19?
Well, okay, when they went on face mask?
Yeah.
I got you.
Hey, Steve, come on here and grab a microphone, Steve.
Well, I know it. Come on.
Come on up here and get some noise over there. Come on and get on camera.
Come on. Right here. All right, we're introducing CA's brother, Steve. Come on, Steve, get up in here and get in this thing, man.
Passing it from CA to SA.
I'm still kind of, I'm intrigued why Dad didn't think that,
CA, right, boy, Bill back.
that Notre Dame hired the right guy. So I really did think he was the right guy. You know, when they hired him, I thought that they were turning the corner, finally picking somebody who was kind of going to take them into the new. I don't know.
So what are we talking about? The right guy?
Yeah, the right guy.
Yeah, the right guy, like you said, man, it all depends on your school, your fans' expectations. I think we talked about this for a long time with Arkansas and Sam Pittman. We talk about whether he was the right guy or not.
I thought he was.
I thought he was too at one point, but he's not. But what are the expectations at Arkansas? That's the question that you have to ask yourself.
So this is what I say, I think, to answer Steve's question about the right guy. The right guy is fluid. The right guy that comes into your program and elevates your program to a certain status. When he reaches the ceiling, he's no longer the right guy. Now you have to go in and bring someone else in, like Georgia did. Shout out to Reed with a Kirby Smart. Now you got the right guy again. So having the right guy can be a fluid situation. It's not static.
The right guy in Kentucky, because what's their ceiling? I mean, even
Right now,
Yeah, that's it. Right? Oh,
Kentucky's ceiling doesn't have a ceiling. So right now, anything that's winning or just prosperous is the right guy. But I agree with you totally with what you said. Like with in Arkansas,
Pittman
being the right guy.
Well, he's not the right guy.
He's not the right guy anymore.
Right.
But he's elevated that program. So like he said, Rick elevated our program, but he got to a certain. Kirby, Rick would never be to where Kirby was at as far as coaching, because and I respect him as far as I respect him all the way, because what he did was different. He changed the culture. He just couldn't make that next step.
Get us over the hill.
And Kirby was ready to make that next step, being under the saving tree. And what people don't get Kirby, like this side note, what people don't get Kirby the respect for is he was there at LSU. He was there at Alabama. He was there. Kirby, Saban's best years, Kirby was there.
without that, absolutely. The Alabama defense looked different once Kirby left, and people don't give Kirby their.
Absolutely. They became a more offensive-oriented team. But one of the things, too, is that,
wanna make this a
like we talk about, every job in America is not created equally. Some jobs are stepping stone jobs. Like Kentucky, when I think of Kentucky, that's a stepping stone job. And I think
For who though?
No, I think for most coaches, and we'll go back to Stoops. Stoops, he did all he could do at Kentucky. He tried to go get a bigger job. It just failed. For whatever reason, he didn't get that job because he knew it was time to move on, and he did all he could do at Kentucky. Just like at South Carolina, your Arkansas, could be your Virginia Techs. There are just certain programs that are only going to go so far, whether that be resources, whether that be where you're located, whether that be if you have enough money or not in your program to pay kids to come in and play for you, whether you have the development of the coaches, can you keep a great coaching staff? So there's a lot of different reasons. And like we say, Georgia's always been a national championship because we have everything here. We've got players, we got the talent in state. We just didn't put the right coach in place to get us to the championship level. And now that we have that, you know what I'm saying, we're seeing the fruits of that.
Right. I think to that point, I think every program tries to go out and get Kirby right now. But that ain't how Georgia attacked it. My freshman year, we had Ray Goff. We won 5 or 6 games. We brought Jim Dunning in. Jim Dunning won 9 games every season and took us to a bowl game. It's another step. Mark Richt came in here. And I missed it. I was in there. Oh, my bad.
You just reinforced what I just said.
Right. So Mark Richt comes in here.
Takes us right to the
Takes us to the SEC championship and to some BCS bowls, showing us Georgia's supposed to be in that mix. And then when his time was up, we hired Kirby. Kirby come in. Like, so you gotta stack. I think some of the programs they trying to go from Ray Goff to Kirby Smart. You can't go from Ray Goff to Kirby Smart in every program.
But let's be honest with you, though. We got like that. It was never where we felt like we always felt that. I always felt that we were underachieving.
I will say this.
Out of Tuscaloosa. You know what I'm saying? When I was talking,
When
I would talk to fans and when I would talk to people in general, once Mark Richt started winning 10 games, it was good for 5 to 6 to 7 years. You know what I'm saying? That ain't good in Tuscaloosa ever. And so growing up in Alabama, that's how I feel. Like, what are you talking about? How are you good with winning 10 games? That ain't getting you where you want to be.
That's how it is too. That's how it is at Ohio State. You know, that's why they're talking about Ryan Day. If he don't get it done this year with this roster, he may be on the hot seat. I wanted to get some of these comments in here. I think Stoops might be fired after this season. Too long and getting the same. They're getting tired of that sandwich in Lexington, Charlotte, to your point. He also says he thinks if Freeman doesn't make the playoffs at Notre Dame, he may be gone. And this is to my point. And I'm not saying Notre Dame shouldn't expect championships. All I'm saying is you got to build sometimes. You like Ohio State, like we just talking about winning percentage. Ohio State is like 85% win percentage all time. So you can't build there. But at some programs, you got to build first. Stop trying to jump from Ray Goff to Kirby Smart.
But in the Notre Dame situation, you can argue that they are going backwards since Kelly left.
Right. So because Brian Kelly was in BCS bowl games even though he didn't win.
Right. And so that'd be my point when I say he's definitely not the right guy because he hasn't elevated the program from where the last guy was. Same thing with
the thing. Brian Kelly was in BCS bowls though. Brian Kelly made playoffs. Now he didn't win them, but he made them. Right, played for a natty. Right, but that's what I'm saying. So now you got Freeman, and Freeman ain't, he ain't making it. Bro, he's struggling. He losing the Northern Illinois at home.
And I'm gonna ask you this: if you at Kentucky and you over everything, would you get rid of Stoops?
I would.
But this is the best your program has ever been.
Right.
You get rid of him.
Listen.
Or is this still part of this stepping stone that you have to go through?
I feel like he is.
You're not gonna get a top tier guy. You're not.
But the thing is,
so let me tell you to your point.
Do you get rid of him, or
Stoops is the most tenured coach in the SEC. So Rick was here. My bad. Rick was here 15 years.
Yeah.
Stoops been at Kentucky about the same. So I was in the boat when we first hired Kirby. I was like, Rick can do it. One more year. Rick can do it. That was me. So that's what I'm saying. He was winning 10 games a year. If I think Kentucky's ceiling is 10 games, and if I want somebody to blast through that ceiling, Stoops has shown 10 games is his ceiling. It's time to move on.
But who do you go get? It's
Shawty, what you tell me? Kirby wasn't Kirby until he hurt Kirby.
He had a lot to do.
we ain't talking about nobody
don't know until you see him actually do it. You're right. You don't know until you see it, but you know it.
Listen, man, we got a lot of examples. No. You got a lot of examples. Look,
Like, yeah, we getting Kirby.
Chris Peterson.
Under the
Chris Peterson. I'm gonna throw that name out there. He was that guy. I wanted Chris Peterson before we went and got Kirby Smart.
I did too, JB.
Chris Peterson went to Washington, a school he should have been able to still win in because he had more talent than he had at Boise State, where he was doing more with less, and he didn't really fit the bill for them either. Until you are the guy, there is no that you can't. For 15, I would rank. Guy named who went to Oregon last year.
Got Jimbo. When they got Brian Kelly, they got their resumes.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey,
So you ain't the guy until you the guy.
right, and at Oregon, they felt like they needed a guy.
But who better not to take a chance on?
No, I'm disagreeing. Right. I don't agree there because we felt like Kirby would have been, or should have been.
This is where I was coming from. This is where I was coming from with Maurice.
What y'all was saying? The perfect fit for the right situation.
Right. So
Until you do it.
right, and this is
Until you do it, but
this is where I was coming from with Maurice.
it was kind of.
But this what I'm saying.
It was.
So we watching Tennessee.
We know that shit.
We was
I
watching.
mean that stuff.
Right. We was.
My bad. My bad.
We was watching Tennessee spiral out of control, right? We was watching Tennessee spiral out of control. And I'm like, when Mark Ritt was here, I was like 10 games a year, BCS bowl game. I can take that over the whole chance that we might spiral with the next guy. But at some point, there has to be a tipping point.
I got to a point.
At some point, Kentucky's got to say, all right, we didn't have 15 years of 6 to 9 wins. How much longer do we give you until we have to take a chance on some, and that next guy might not be the guy, but we got to take a chance. But he might.
Respect the Hedges coming to you live from Athens, Georgia. Creature Comforts, baby. Everybody, you make a little noise out there.
All I'm saying is,
Dog talk coming back in a second.
Kentucky's football program has never been where it's at now. Kentucky's football program has never been where it's at now.
They've had years where they've risen up and won 8-9 games before.
Two. Yeah. Like they
Steve said he ain't getting rid of Stoops.
I'm not getting rid of Stoops because who you gonna hire?
You go find the next guy. You find the next guy.
It's not that easy.
It ain't that easy to see. It ain't that easy to see.
Who found the next guy? Did you go find it? The most recent school that's found the next guy.
Oregon.
Go find it. If he ain't it,
Alabama might have the next guy.
Oregon is right there on the precipice, boy. You're in.
how long they had the coach? Where they at?
Are they not in Oregon been in the top 10 since he's been there. That's the Oregon.
He was the next guy.
So you find the next guy. He's out there. He's probably on our staff. He's probably already here.
That's the fact right there.
I don't want to say it too loud. He's probably already here.
For what they trying to do, Vandy look like they done found their guy.
Hey, listen.
For what they trying to
For
do.
what they're trying to do, right?
And all it is about going to the next level. That's what we mean by the next guy. And we ain't saying winning national championship. The right guy at that time, like we rate top 10 teams every week. The list is fluid. So when you, like I said earlier, the right guy is only the guy right now that's elevating your program. Once you reach your ceiling at some point, you have to go to the next guy. You can't stand pat. Because if you stand pat, what they say, if you do the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result.
This is
You're going to start regressing.
right, and this is what I say to knowing who the right guy is, Steve. So look at this. I'm going to give you two trajectories that was kind of the same. One made it, one didn't. And it's right here in our backyard. Will Muschamp was widely considered one of the best, if not the best, defense coordinator on Texas' staff in waiting after Mac Brown. He ends up getting the Florida job, fail. He gets a South Carolina job, fail. Next up, same trajectory, Kirby Smart, widely considered one of the best defensive coordinators in the land with Nick Saban. He comes to Georgia, has a decent year, and then he propels. So but both situations, schools had to take a chance. They didn't know Kirby was going to hit. To be honest with you, they could have thought Kirby was going to be Will Champ 2.0. So you got to take a chance at some point.
People like every other guy in Saban's tree.
I disagree with that.
Like every other guy in Saban's tree. Look, name another guy that's had the amount of success Kirby has in Saban's tree. Name one.
They're not out there.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying.
They're not out there.
That's what I'm saying. Kirby's special. That's what y'all not hearing. We knew Kirby was the guy.
No, we hoped he was the guy.
Wallace Smith said Kentucky needs to get the next guy to try to get the ball home.
That was saving the whole time.
I don't care what condition Kentucky is right now. And I don't care what condition this coach is. And I don't care where they got to go to find a coach. Because we the dogs and we respecting these Hedges around here. We giving Kentucky too much conversation on our airwaves. So can we go ahead and move back to some dog talk?
Hey, this is what you get when you get a whole. Hey, right. All right, move on. Right. Hey, we got to agree to disagree. We got to agree to disagree.
Listen,
We're gonna agree to disagree, and we're gonna have to get into that. But yeah, we get your point. Like sometimes you got to stick with the guys. Sometimes you got to move on. And Kentucky got to make that decision at this point. Kentucky got to make. Hey, we appreciate you, Steve. Hey, Steve, don't leave me hanging, Steve. Don't leave me
On national TV.
Hey, listen, but hey, to that point, man, there's a lot of schools out there that's trying to be like Georgia, trying to be like the Bamas, and they just don't have the right guy. Sometimes you gotta take a chance, sometimes you stay pat. That's how it is. Listen, man, we done ran up on our time. We out here in Creature Comfort in Athens, Georgia. Creature Comfort Brewery, the official tap room of the Georgia Bulldogs, man. We like to thank them for having Respect the Hedges out here for the pregame show. We will be here for the away games outside of Alabama. The Alabama, we will not be here, but for Texas, Florida, and Ole Miss, we will be here at Creature Comfort, so make sure y'all come out here. We want to thank the crowd today. Y'all were amazing. We'd like to thank y'all for being out here. We thank everybody for bearing with us with the technical difficulties online, but we see y'all found us on Respect the Hedges YouTube anyway. So, yeah. Hey, y'all make sure y'all catch us every Tuesday live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Respect the Hedges. We talk dogs all the time, man. So, hey, listen, we got our guys in here. We got Shawty Parker, man, former wide receiver at UGA. We got Aaron Robinson, former DB at UGA. We got Corey Allen, former wide receiver at UGA. We got Javaris Johnson, former tight end at UGA. I'm Isaiah Fowler, coach out of UGA alone, and the coolest fan in the land. I got Cool Cal.
Respect these Hedges, baby.
And she don't want to be on camera, even though she.
Come on. Better than yours.
It's our Respect the Hedges photographer. It's Kaylin Hill. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do for us, Kaylin. We need a score prediction for the game today.
Not the first lady.
35-5. 35-3.
35-3. 3. Shout out to the first lady in the comments. She said she will be here next time. That's right. Wallace Smith says, don't be surprised that Kentucky get their next guy off our staff. He's the co-defensive coordinator. That is Travaris Robinson. He is a hot name out there. We'd like to thank all the UGA fans for participating with us today. Make sure y'all stay for the watch party here in Athens. We've been Respect the Hedges, and as always,